When I was a teenager, one fantasy dominated all the others. I fancied myself as Rex Harrison, playing opposite the lovely Julie Andrews in My Fair Lady. She single-handedly made me fall in love with musical comedy, and with her. Then I saw her on stage in Camelot and was smitten forever. Never did I think I would meet her, but I did. And never did I dream of having a show of my own on which she would appear. But I have, and here she is. I've grown accustomed to your face, Julie. I hope you like that. I spent a lot of time writing that.
That's wonderful and touching and lovely. Thank you.
Just like you.
I single-handedly made you love musicals.
More than anybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. What a wonderful compliment.
Shrek 2. I love the film. You play the voice of the Queen of Far, Far Away.
That's right.
Now, I'd like to know how difficult is, or how different is it to prepare yourself for a voice-over role as opposed to a flesh and blood person?
It's completely different, Cal. I thought it would not be, and it's a whole other experience. I'm so glad to have had the chance to try it. You go into a booth all by yourself. You don't have a chance to relate to the other actors at all. And if you're lucky, your director will feed you, the opposite lines, and you just read from selected lines from the script, and they ask you to say them any number of ways. And you kind of give them such a huge variety of expressions and feelings, and if you want to throw anything in, you can.
So grandchildren have seen this, and they say, that's Grandma's voice.
Yes, and I'm so big with my grandchildren right now. It's like I'm really cool.
You're really cool.
Yes.
There's a subliminal message in this. I don't know if it was deliberate or not. It's about acceptance and people who are different.
Oh, yes.
Was that deliberate?
I think so. I think it was in the first one and certainly in the second.
You recently filmed Princess Diaries 2, and I read in the Los Angeles Times that a special song was written for you in a lower register because of your throat surgery. Most people know that. You can't hit the high notes anymore. And according to the newspaper report, hardened Hollywood veterans cried when you sang it. What was that like?
Well, for me, it was wonderful. I'm honestly not sure, Cal, whether it will still be in the movie when it finally is all cut together. It was something we tried, and I said, if you write me a song with about 5 notes in it and make it very low so that I can speak it. And it was a pleasure to do, because somehow anything musical on a film set just livens it up in every wonderful way.
Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always have a solution.
It's 40 years, I can't believe it, since your film debut in Mary Poppins, and you and Dick Van Dyke were recently reunited for a special DVD. What was that like?
Oh, wonderful. That's going to be some DVD, because not only is the movie brand new and polished up and all of that for the DVD, but there's our commentary, there's out footage, outtakes, there's rehearsal footage, there's a brand new little cartoon that's coming out on a second CD to be packaged with the original, and it's charming.
And speaking of 40 years, next year I think is the 40th anniversary of The Sound of Music. Is that right?
I think it'll be next year.
Yeah. And every time it's shown on television, huge ratings. Have you been able to understand the enduring beauty and popularity of this wonderful story?
I think it's about decency and goodness, and I mean, you certainly can't not love that beautiful scenery and 7 great kids and the beautiful music, of course.
When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Mary Rogers, Richard Rogers' daughter, said to me once, she said it's the only one of the musicals that actually transferred to film and made it even better, because quite often the stage originals are much more exciting than sometimes the movies become. And in this case, she said she thought her dad, everybody would have felt that this was better served as a film.
And speaking of things from stage to screen, My Fair Lady, of course, Audrey Hepburn, and not you. Was there ever a period of anger that you weren't selected for a while?
Never anger, no, because I understood in those days. I mean, I was only known on Broadway. I wasn't known across America. I'd never made a movie. And in those days, star power was what drew people to the movies. And Audrey Hepburn became a great friend of mine, and we adored each other. I loved her very much. I'd say maybe in some ways perhaps regret that I didn't put it down definitively somewhere. I mean, what you just saw was maybe a clip from Ed Sullivan or something, but that's all I always ever showed.
You mentioned about goodness and Sound of Music. I think I read something at some point that you wanted to get out of the goody-goody roles and played more meaty stuff. S.O.B. certainly was that with your husband Blake Edwards, Americanization of Emily. Have you kind of come full circle now because you have created an enormous body of good stuff that everybody can watch, including the smallest child?
Well, thank you, Cal. It wasn't a conscious effort on my part. Actually, that's not true. The conscious effort was right from the beginning. The turn on for me is doing as many different things as possible. And Americanization was the second film I ever made, right after Mary Poppins. But really, I think what it is that the films that are a real success, the big ones, if one's lucky enough to have a big success, those are the ones that get remembered best.
Both you and your close friend Carol Burnett came from households in which alcohol was a problem. There was some abuse there. How did that color your life?
Probably more than I am truly aware. Probably made me more a certain antenna, be more alert and aware of how people are and what's going on with them. But it's the way it was when I was a kid. And, you know, when you're a child, there's so much optimism. And it's not until you look back that you say, I see.